Hello dear friends, today I am glad to present you a new video for the 4th chapter of Poppy Playtime. According to my information, the 4th chapter will be called Back to the Past, in which we will be told about the fates of all Smiling Critters members and show what happened to them. Be sure to watch this video until the end so you don't miss anything important. And here we go. So here I am thinking that in chapter 4 we will be able to see a huge version of Piggy that will be very bloodthirsty. Apparently his huge size is due to the fact that he ate smaller monsters and thus reached this size. I have seen a video in which Piggy is chasing our character. I can only assume that he is chasing in order to eat him, but I think that Piggy expects the same fate as the other bosses of the game. Namely, he will simply fall into the hands of Prototype after his death and will bring his plan closer to fulfillment. The next character we might see as a boss in chapter 4 might be Kickin Chicken. From his cardboard in the 3rd chapter, we learn that he wants to escape from Playcare, because he can no longer stand all these horrors that are happening here. But what if he succeeded and we can see him in the 4th chapter? Most likely he will also be big, and I dare say he will not be very kind to us, so we'll have to hide from him. I also came across an excerpt that shows Kickin Chicken chasing after our character, as a result of which Kickin Chicken will die and his body will be taken away by Prototype, as it happened with bosses from other chapters. There is also a possibility that we will see Kickin Chicken in conjunction with his brother Rocky, and maybe they will be the key figures in chapter 4. Maybe from them we can find out what really happened to all the orphans in Playcare, and also find out what happened to the rest of the Smiling Critters. Another character I'd like to talk about would be Snidey Spidey. He is a spider who is an experiment of the Bigger Bodies initiative. I got a glimpse of his cardboard, from which we can learn some interesting things, namely that he is a member of the Smiling Critters, and he tells us that he loves to scare others and that it makes his blood boil. Creepy, isn't it? In my opinion, Snidey Spidey is a great fit for the role of Prototype's main sidekick in the 4th installment of the game. I also think that he will have some kind of superpower, and judging by the fact that he is a spider, this superpower will be a spider web, which will be a trap for our character. So, recently I found a very interesting passage where our beloved Dog Day kills Snidey Spidey and then passes out. But then Mr. Delight comes to our rescue, and we transport the exhausted Dog Day to the hospital to help him recover. The funny thing is that in the hospital there is a cardboard Snidey Spidey who was killed by Dog Day a couple of moments ago. So while Mr. Delight is helping our comrade Dog Day, our character decides to walk around the hospital and suddenly we notice the silhouettes of the already, known to us, green rabbit. But the funny thing is that she is running away from us, not the other way around. Our character decides to catch up with her and find out what is going on here. Let me tell you right away, it was not an easy task, because even from the cartoon about Smiling Critters, we can understand that Hoppy Hopscotch is very active and energetic. But when our character does manage to do so, we find Hoppy Hopscotch in a lighted room, huddled in a corner. And then she tells us that she is afraid of the dark, because when it gets dark, some unexplainable things happen to her, and that she is always hiding in this room, because it is the only place in the whole hospital that is constantly and well lit. But suddenly there are some interruptions with light, and Hoppy Hopscotch, with an alarming voice, asks our character to leave her as soon as possible, because now something terrible can happen, and then we see Hoppy Hopscotch get some demonic form and our character has to run away from her. By the way, a useful tip for players. At this point you will need a flare gun hand from the 3rd chapter with charges of fire, because it is light will help to drive away the demonic Hoppy Hopscotch. A little bit away from Hoppy Hopscotch we meet Mr. Delight, who has come up with a plan to help Hoppy Hopscotch. The plan is to activate the generators that are located throughout the hospital and lure the demonic form of Hoppy Hopscotch into the hallway of the hospital, because that's where the most light is. Immediately, our character begins to execute Mr. Delight's plan. Mr. Delight's plan comes to fruition by scaring off Hoppy Hopscotch with flare gun charges. When our character activated all the generators and brought Hoppy Hopscotch to the lobby of the hospital, Mr. Delight was already waiting for us there. But to our great regret, the plan didn't work, and the demonic form of Hoppy Hopscotch didn't disappear, and then Mr. Delight decides to throw a tranquilizer spear at her, which according to him will disable Hoppy Hopscotch and give us some time to fix the lights in the whole hospital. But then comes Dog Day, who tells us one interesting detail, namely that all Smiling Critters have nightmare mode in order to scare away any strangers on Playcare territory. But luckily he knows how to deactivate this mode, but he doesn't tell us how, because time is running out and it's time to get down to business. So our character goes to look for energy blocks, the same ones we used when escaping from Miss Delight. After collecting all the necessary blocks and bringing them to the necessary place, Dog Day explains to Hoppy Hopscotch that her nightmare mode is broken and she can't control it anymore, and that the only way to get rid of it is to send a powerful electric shock through her body, which will destroy it. Hoppy Hopscotch agrees to this experiment because she can't live like this anymore and is willing to do anything to get rid of nightmare mode. Then Mr. Delight launches a powerful electric shock at her. Luckily, everything was successful. The only downside is that Hoppy Hopscotch has a temporary headache, but it will soon pass. And then Hoppy Hopscotch remembers about his friend Bobby Bearhug and tells us that she is still alive and that she is locked up. Hoppy Hopscotch also asks us to help her immediately and tells us that she is in jail. This is where our character immediately rushes to Bobby Bearhug's aid. Once in the prison-like room, in a cage we see Bobby Bearhug, who after a couple of moments becomes enraged and takes out the cage, fleeing in an unknown direction. Exploring this location, we get to a certain room, where we are attacked by the same Bobby Bearhug. But then Hoppy Hopscotch, who already knows us, intervenes and stands up for us. But as a result of this fight, Hoppy Hopscotch was very badly hurt and lost consciousness. And then the most interesting thing happened. Prototype showed up, and as it turns out, Bobby Bearhug is his assistant. However, later we managed to find Hoppy Hopscotch safe and sound, and together with Mr. Delight, we continue our adventure. Exploring further the territory of Playtime Factory, we managed to find one very interesting character, namely Bubbaphant. As far as we can see, he is not a bit damaged and very well preserved. Bubbaphant was happy to our character and Mr. Delight, but the same cannot be said about Hoppy Hopscotch, because immediately after their meeting, Bubbaphant threw her into the wall and was very aggressive towards her, despite the fact that Hoppy Hopscotch offered to help him. Next, our character and Mr. Delight suggest that Bubbaphant join an alliance to defeat Prototype, but all we hear in response is laughter. Bubbaphant then flees in a direction unknown to us. Our character then enters a new location where we meet one of the main antagonists of Poppy Playtime Chapter 3, namely Catnap. Here we see a fight between Catnap and Bubbaphant, at the end of which Prototype appears and grabs Bubbaphant. From their conversation, we learn that Bubbaphant also serves Prototype, but Prototype didn't like his disobedience, but decided not to kill him, but to take away one of his hands so that he wouldn't do it in the future. Remember that at the beginning of this video, we talked to you about Piggy and that she died at the hands of Prototype, but it's not that simple. After the conversation between Bubbaphant and Prototype, we turn around and see a furious Piggy jumping out of one of the containers, and then Hoppy Hopscotch comes to our rescue and fights with Piggy. But it's worth noting one peculiarity, namely that Piggy now spits some green liquid, which looks like acid, because one such spit at Hoppy Hopscotch ate her leg, which prevented him from continuing the fight. But suddenly Prototype intervened again and ordered Piggy to stop, because Hoppy Hopscotch would still need it. From all this, we can conclude that Prototype doesn't kill monsters, but subdues them to serve him and help him with his plan. What storyline are you most looking forward to? Be sure to write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and put likes on the video. That's all for today. See you soon. Bye-bye.